After 23 years and 75 million albums, the rock phenomenon KISS returns for a sold-out world tour. Who is this band with rock's most famous faces, and why after decades does the KISS phenomenon continue to carry on?
What KISS stands for is ageless. We sing about freedom, about truth, and about following your dream.
The kings of shock rock, even after a 15-year breakup, still command a KISS army that numbers in the millions. The faithful want to know, what is the state of KISS?
It finally is now what it should have always been, which is four people who are grateful, who are happy to get up on that stage, and who make no bones about kicking your butt.
Who are these masked men and where did they come from? What drives them to push the extremes of rock spectacle? How did they overcome their past differences and finally reunite? What did it take to reclaim their title as the hottest band in the world? Come witness the rebirth of rock's most incredible band. The story of how Gene, Paul, Ace, and Peter reunited and wrote a new chapter in the history of rock and roll. This is KISS, and this is their story. With roots reaching back deep into the heart of New York City, the KISS story began. In the early 1960s, Queens-born Paul Stanley's daily ritual of watching local and national American Bandstand-type TV shows spurred his embryonic quest for rock stardom. At the same time, Gene Simmons moved to the Big Apple from his native Israel and became obsessed with American rock and roll, movies, and comics. Growing up with similar ambitions and the trial and error of many garage bands, Simmons and Stanley's destinies finally crossed in 1968. The duo bonded and formed Wicked Lester, the band that would soon evolve into KISS. Despite Wicked Lester going as far as recording an album for Epic Records, an album that remains unreleased to this day, Gene and Paul vowed to continue on their own, envisioning a hard rock equivalent to the Beatles.
When we started KISS, we wanted to make sure that it was the ultimate rock and roll band, the band we dreamed of, the band no one had ever seen before.
Finding Brooklyn's own Peter Criss through the Classifieds and Rolling Stone, and a hotshot from the Bronx on lead guitar named Ace Frehley, the original lineup of KISS was born.
We all created our own characters. Basically, they were all our alter egos.
Peter Criss considered himself someone who had 9 lives to survive his rough street upbringing. His Catman persona suited him from the start. Gene Simmons' demonic persona was an embodiment of every larger-than-life character that had ever enchanted him.
I know Ace sees his makeup as the spaceman, but to me what it's always looked like is a seismograph recording an earthquake. It's going off the Richter scale.
And there was Paul Stanley, rock star supreme, the star of the center stage and on-stage spokesman. It was only fitting that his makeup should exemplify his stellar inclination. According to Paul Stanley, they wanted a group image like the Beatles or the Stones had. Going on stage looking like they just walked off the street didn't appeal to them. They took the makeup that New York glitter rock bands were using and went to the extreme.
Paul Stanley thought of the name KISS. Ace came up with the original logo.
By early 1973, KISS began promoting their own New York area club shows.
We first performed any place that would have us. Clubs in Long Island, clubs in Queens, New York. We were at the mercy of the club owners because most people wouldn't have us.
We may have been delusional, but every one of us had the decidedly clear idea that we wanted to go out there and rule the world.
The band made its official debut at New York's Academy of Music, opening for Blue Oyster Cult. Little did the Cult know that in 2 short years to the day, they would be opening when KISS headlined Nassau Coliseum. People were talking about this brash new group. Seriously talking. Rock and roll! The buzz eventually reached the ears of Neil Bogart, whose upstart label Casablanca Records needed a hot new act like Kiss. Based on the strength of their songs alone, Bogart made Kiss the first band signed to his new venture. With contracts in hand, Kiss proceeded to work on its first record. Kiss's first three releases, Kiss, Hotter Than Hell, and Dressed to Kill, sold slowly but steadily as Kiss built its reputation as the hottest live band in the land.
The people didn't have a clue what was about to bang them over the head. When we stepped out behind the amplifiers, it was shock, instantaneous. It hit them like a bulldozer.
It was the band's crazed on-stage antics, from Paul Stanley's death-defying jumps and nightly ritual of guitar destruction, to Ace Frehley's rocket-charged flame engulfed Les Paul, to Peter Criss's levitating drum kit that shocked and enthralled the audience. And it was Simmons' circus act that truly fired up the imagination. The blood-spitting, fire-breathing, tongue-waggling antics brought shock rock to a new level of infamy. It was well worth setting his own hair on fire several times to get it right. It was the definitive live rock and roll album of all time, 1975's Alive, that, to quote Simmons, saved our asses. Understandably, considering that from the very start they were touring with such features as smoke bombs, flash pots, lighted Kiss logo, and a levitating drum riser.
When things first took off with the band, we were getting along great. We were having a great time. We were really digging being famous, and it did happen quick for Kiss. It was a very cool time.
We were used to being the opening act, and all of a sudden we were the headliner. And I said, the roller coaster is about to begin. Hold on tight, because this is the big time.
The Double Slab LP was also the band's big breakthrough to the mainstream, featuring the amazing live version of the now classic rock and roll anthem, Rock and Roll All Night.
The president of our record company sat us down and said, you guys need a song that really states what you believe in. And he was talking about a rallying song, something that the crowd would be able to say, this is what I believe in, this is what the band believes in. We went back to the hotel, and I came up with a chorus, I want to rock and roll all night and party every day, and Gene came up with the verse, and there you have it. Get up, everybody gonna move their feet. Get down, everybody's gonna leave their seat.
With Destroyer, renowned producer Bob Ezrin's studio prowess helped propel Kiss's songwriting to a new level. Detroit Rock City, Shout It Out Loud, God of Thunder, and the chart-topping award-winning hit single Beth made Destroyer a landmark Kiss record.
The reason we put Beth on the B-side was because we figured it was a throwaway. We wound up with an enormous hit from a song that we didn't think stood a chance.
Beth, I hear you calling.
At the same time, to commemorate the debut of Kiss's new Marvel comic, the band deposited their own blood into the comic book ink at the Marvel printing plant. Certainly as the rigors of the road and jam-packed shows continued, Kiss's popularity exploded.
All of a sudden, I wake up one day and there's a bodyguard that I can't go nowhere without, and there's these people telling me I'm the greatest, and there's girls screaming and fainting, and I didn't know how to handle it because success is a drug. I OD'd on it. I just lavished in it.
More albums followed as Kiss packed arenas and stadiums around the globe.
It was nice because we all became millionaires overnight.
Once the band got enormous success, it was no longer all for one and one for all. It started being more of a case of one guy thinking he knew what was best for the band. The problems were not on the outside, the problems were on the inside. We were starting to hurt each other without realizing it.
We were having a great time and enjoying every minute of it, but little tensions were beginning to creep in, and everybody was beginning to assert their individuality, sometimes at the price of the band.
The my case, the ego would inflate to larger than life-size proportions. But let's just say that Machiavelli was right. To have power is to abuse it. And power came big, and power came fast.
No gratitude need be voiced. Your mind speaks to us.
You're looking for someone, but it's not Kiss.
This is ridiculous.
Everybody bought mansions and cars and all sorts of bizarre stuff. Gene was dating movie stars, and I was abusing substances and having car accidents and being an idiot. Everybody had their own problems.
It started getting crazy for me, in and out of drugs. I wanted the high all the time, that adrenaline that I got on stage, and couldn't just give it up. I couldn't leave it there. I had to live with it, so I partied, and I just kept taking it with me, and that's dangerous.
Some of us tried desperately to hold on to the unity. In a very real way, the family was breaking up, which in fact it was.
And I seen it happening to all of us. We were out of control. We were not a band. We were just running amok, and we were burning out.
By this time, Kiss had become the biggest band in the planet, but the cracks within the family were getting deeper and wider.
The Kiss phenomena does not stop with sound. There are Kiss games, lunchboxes, toys, pinball machines, and soon to come is Kiss World, a traveling amusement park. It all adds up to an incredible organization with millions of dollars.
Kiss permits no promotional possibilities.
Tonight we have the last word in promotion.
This is Kiss, each sold separately.
Printing a new comic book promoted as being printed
because in the past 6 years, Kiss has sold $250 million worth of albums.
Some nights the shows were good. Sometimes they weren't. And some of the bad nights were horrible.
I also asked the group about a rumor that this may be their last tour. Of course not, I was told. What's happening is only the beginning.
The idea of breaking out individually on their own solo careers led to Peter Criss's departure in early 1980 and Ace Frehley's later on in 1982.
There was a period of time where we felt like estranged family members. Even though there was a lot of tension and a lot of bad feelings, underneath it all was a lot of love.
But being in the same band was completely out of the question. I mean, there were too many pains, too many open wounds from when we thought everybody wasn't carrying the load.
It wasn't good. You know, we didn't call each other, we didn't talk to each other much.
During the 80s, everybody was busy trying to prove to themselves that they could do it without the other members in the family.
We know what we did the first time around. We can look each other in the eye now, give each other thumbs up, and march forward.
Everything pales in front of Ace, Paul, Gene, and Peter in full makeup, in full bombastic show on stage.
Kind of like when brothers have a fight or a falling out, or you have a falling out with your dad. You know, like you hate him, but you really don't. We just didn't talk to each other, but I missed him.
In the 15 years since Ace and Peter's departure from the band, Kiss was alive and well. Gene and Paul carried on, unmasked, releasing platinum records, hit singles, and sold-out concert tours. But in the wake of the 1980s and early 90s, the question always lingered. Was there ever a chance of the 4 original members reuniting in makeup?
People would constantly ask us if it was possible, and we'd just tell them the truth. We don't see it happening.
1995, the official Kiss conventions toured the country. Fans could see up close displays of original Kiss costumes, memorabilia, and vintage instruments. Kiss weddings took place at several conventions, with the bride and groom in full Kiss makeup.
You may now kiss the bride!
The Kiss conventions were a new concept where no band had gone before. It was a chance for us to get together one-on-one with our fans and really celebrate the history of the band.
My daughter never saw Kiss. She just never knew what her father really was about. And I thought, what a perfect time to bring her to such an occasion, especially the first LA convention.
Well, we thought it might be something special. We thought Peter could come out and sing a couple of songs.
When they asked me out, I was excited. I knew it was coming. When it happened, my heart started going fast. I think they were even shocked that I remembered some of the lyrics to Hard Luck Woman. It almost felt like going back home, kind of like being safe again. With the guys again, it was good.
It was instantly identifiable and instantly comfortable, and obviously the fans, from the look on their faces, just had the time of their lives. So did we.
It really was a magical and momentous occasion, and just by him coming out there, the way he was received by the fans and the magic and chemistry between us,
was the first signal that the best was yet to come.
There were a lot of interesting things happening at the time, including MTV asking us to do their Unplugged show. So we thought, hey, the fans would really get a kick out of seeing Peter come up and sing again.
When I showed up for rehearsal, I was really scared when I walked in. We haven't played in years and years and years. And I remember I was the first to walk through the door, and when the door opened, Gene went, "Pete!" And my heart soared. It was like, wow.
The next obvious thought was, well, maybe Ace wants to come up and jam for a song or two.
Riley!
When Ace walked in, it was like a long-lost family member. I can't say that we were never pissed off at each other. That would be a lie. You know, no matter what happened in the past, we immediately hugged. It was unplanned. It just happened.
It was wild to walk into that room and have everybody looking at each other, knowing that it was just a matter of minutes before we picked up our instruments and basically picked up where we left off.
Well, when we started rehearsing for the MTV Unplugged session, you know, I was slightly apprehensive because it was the first time the four of us had gotten together as a foursome in well over 20 years, and I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know what kind of vibes were going to be. I figured I'd just walk into the room and wing it.
2, 3, 4.
We were all there clearly to play together, and that's something that we hadn't done for 20 years. There were a lot of expectations. I'm sure there were a lot of doubts, a lot of fears. It was magical.
It was exciting. It was something I'd almost forgotten. There's a certain feeling when the four of us play together that I can't explain. I can't put my finger on it, but there's just a chemistry.
For the first time in over 15 years, Gene and Paul were reunited on stage with Peter and Ace for an amazing encore of 5 classic Kiss tunes. An irresistible force was set into motion.
We got some members of the family here tonight. And we're not talking about mom and dad. We're talking about Peter Criss and Ace Frehley.
When I walked out with Peter, the audience went completely nuts. My daughter was sitting in the front row with a friend, and everybody jumped out of their chairs, and it was one of the most amazing welcomes and a gratifying feeling. I'll never forget it as long as I live.
When Ace and Peter got up on stage, there was some, the phoenix rises from the ashes sense to it. It was very Christian in some ways, sort of a rebirth. And Ace wasted no time in jumping right to the front of the stage and going, "I'm back!" It was great.
Ace says he had premonitions that he saw us all back together again. We were up there together, and Gene looked at me, and I was like, wow. I knew the magic was there. I could feel it in the room. The crowd knew it was still there. And I wished in my own little special way that, wow, I wish we were back again together because it felt that good.
I don't know if I was hallucinating or not, but when I looked over at Gene, for some reason I had a feeling that the Unplugged session was going to turn into a reunion tour. Basically, my gut instincts were correct.
That when it came time and Gene and I talked and he said, yes, we're going to put on the makeup, I said, I'll be right over, because I knew that this would be what it ended up to be and what is going to be the biggest rock band of all time.
I think so many times. So I got some shit from my archives. Tom, this black stuff is fucking great. It just goes on like, look at that.
We were practicing putting the makeup on because within 2 days we were going to surprise everybody by just sort of showing up on the Grammy Awards unannounced.
When we put the makeup on at Gene's house, it was weird, man, because I could see it happening, and I could go, wow, this is frightening.
When we got together to put on the makeup and the outfits for the first time in 20 years, There was an anticipation and an excitement, and we were all wondering what it was going to look like.
It's very funny when the makeup started to go on. It was very much like second skin. Once you learn to ride a bicycle, you never forget.
It was amazing. It was almost as if, 20 years had just flown by, and I felt very comfortable in it. It was surprisingly easier than I thought it would be.
There was a very big deja vu sense. All of a sudden, all kinds of thoughts start racing through your mind, and then everybody started cracking jokes. Peter started picking on Ace, and then Ace started picking on me, and all the good times started to come back very fast.
Why can't the whole band be Italian and everything would get done the right way?
Listen, the only mistake Cristoforo Colombo made is stupid.
Just laces.
Yeah, listen. Look, I got a guy with the name of Criscola. He got problem on the right foot, and the fifth of the joint, and the left of the little one.
It was amazing because as soon as the outfits were on and the makeup was on, not only had time stood still, but we had found a way to go back.
After only a month together, the band prepared to shock the world with a surprise appearance at the 1996 Grammy Awards show before a television audience of 80 million people. This would be the first time in 16 years that the world would see Gene, Paul, Ace, and Peter in full Kiss makeup and costume.
I remember arriving at the Grammy show in full gear and walking in and wondering what people's reaction would be.
When we first came walking in, we went right past the guards who didn't ask for ID or anything. They just stood there with their mouths open.
This is fucking nuts. This is nuts?
I remember thinking, it doesn't matter if they get it or not, we're Kiss, which, funny enough, was the original idea that we had when we first put the band together.
And then as we entered the press, where we only took photos, we didn't say anything. They just went ballistic.
And then we knew. I mean, we knew in our hearts that it worked for us and for the fans, but you never know whether or not it's going to work big time for, that big world out there. We were introduced to Tupac, who was going to co-present with us, and Tupac was very cool, and he went,
"Wow, man, we need something different, something new. We need to shock the people. So let's shock the people."
And when he walked out on stage, it was like shock. I remember looking at the faces of everybody in the audience, and it's like, wow, it's Kiss. That's right.
He's my homeboy, and I see just about everything now.
Well, when we first started rehearsing, we rehearsed in a small studio. It wasn't anything elaborate. When we were way in the back, without a gigantic PA or without huge stacks of Marshall amps.
It was very funny because everybody's playing from memory. Paul and I had a little bit more practice playing the tunes because we'd been playing the tunes all along.
Don't fix it.
But it's funny, Ace and Peter would say, "No, that's not the way it goes."
I want to see if the fills would be bigger. But then it goes down on the top.
And they were right, because we'd strayed from the original point of view, so we had to start looking back at the records. And Ace had forgotten some of his solos, and we had to remind him, no, it kind of goes like this.
I was going to say, you don't have to go all the way down, you can go like this, look.
It's really funny how stuff that you think you know off the back of your hand, something that seems very, very simple, when you take a closer look at it, actually winds up being pretty complex. Some of the drum patterns especially were way out there. Peter had to go and sit down and study this stuff day and night to figure out what he did.
You can still go like this, because it's in time. And I'll work all the next 4 days with it.
It was back to basics. It was a smart move. It was no bullshit. It was what it was. You had to play in each other's face. You make a mistake, it was instantly noticed. But Gene always demands the best.
We didn't so much as try to copy every note as much as make sure that we were recreating the vibe, the spirit.
Had a certain reckless abandon to it. And what it lacked in tightness, it made up for in volume and sheer energy. We knew that we were training for the heavyweight fight. We also knew that the time to find out that you're not in shape isn't when the bell rings. We went in there knowing that we had a long road ahead of us, and this is where it starts.
Ladies and gentlemen, this press conference, if you don't know, is being simulcast to 58 countries around the world. When they asked me to introduce KISS, I had just 2 questions. What time and what aircraft carrier?
We're going to close them again. You guys just take a step back and we're going to bring that table on and set it in front of you, okay? And don't put 4 chairs right now. They're waiting for a
Members of the international press and members of the KISS Army.
After 17 years apart, the day had finally come for KISS to announce their plans to reunite and tour the world together again. A huge crowd of reporters, television crews, and elated fans gathered to witness the beginning of the new era.
We're going to give the fans exactly what they want. They want to hear rock and roll all night, that's what we'll do. If they want to hear songs from a certain period, we will do that. We're here for the fans.
We're committed to this for a year, 2 years, whatever it takes, and that'll be the first tour.
Everything you've heard about the KISS years and the KISS stage shows and the spectacle is true. It's not a legend. We're going to show every new band how the big boys do it.
We're going to make sure that when we go out there, nobody goes out after the show and says this wasn't worth what I paid for it.
I've always wanted to time travel, you know, and it feels like I've gone back 15 years in time, and here I am again, and it's a fantastic feeling, and I really appreciate everybody being here.
We didn't make plans for this. This is magic.
We're 4 individuals who love what we do and are thrilled to be doing this together again, but the truth is, in the past, we've had our differences, so what? The magic is back.
Then bring it down to your belt. 2 fast, 4.
When we decided it was time to do the new KISS photo session, we naturally turned to Barry Levine, especially after having looked at all the classic photos he took of us in the past.
He was the guy that took the shot of us on top of the Empire State Building. To this day, 90% of the people that see that shot think it's a backdrop.
More attitude, Gene. Come on. That's it. More.
In doing the new photo session, we wanted to continue the tradition, the rich lighting, the great sets, all the things that made the first photo sessions we've done with Barry so unique. They always exemplified and made the most of each one of our personalities.
The chemistry between a band called KISS is something that defies logic. Every single guy in the band is as different from the other guy as you can imagine.
It's great because they're so different, each one of them, that if you ask them a question and it's a yes or no answer, you get 4 different answers if that's possible. In that sense, that's what makes KISS so unique.
Oh, Gio, if I go any further, he's going to go over his shoulders.
Get off him. Use that. Get off.
Get off him. What's wrong with you?
I'm trying to...
Where, Barry?
Put your grab up and
If I stay on this fucking pipe, there's 4 of us on this pipe.
It won't go.
Everybody bickers all the time about anything. I like blue, you like black. No, I like red, no, you like white. But like all things great, it comes from different ideas, and only the best idea should rise to the surface. It doesn't matter where it comes from.
No, it says be quiet, Gene. What a wonderful thing to hear. Oh, what a great thing. Gene, shut the fuck up. Well, that was you.
On the surface of it, people think that Ace and Peter are similar, and that Gene and Paul are similar.
Gene's always been the oldest member of KISS. I believe that, and although I am, but to me, Gene is.
Oh, is this going to be a tour?
The reality is, I think I have more in common, and Peter thinks so too, with Peter. We both like the same kinds of sweets, we like cartoons, we sort of have the same vibe when it comes to humor.
Some shoes.
God, that looks so weird.
All of them, even your bird, your devil bat bird at your house knows I'm scared shitless. It is. It's a devil bat bird. It's scared. Then it bit me, bit my hand, it bit into me. Nasty little fucker.
The time that we were apart taught us a whole lot about how special what we have is, and I think we appreciate each other that much more.
I think Paulie's a great showman, not that Gene isn't or Ace, right? I think he's a really good foundation for holding us together at times, because Gene sure isn't. I'd want to kill him half the time.
Good. Hey! Fuck! Oh, shit! Let me look at it. Here you go. Get out of here! Get out of here! Punch you in the dick. How could you miss it? You know? That's a monster. Keep that, Gene. Keep it. Don't you fucking move. Gene, how could you ruin that? I can't breathe, but that's not the point. Art, great.
Everybody had their own private little world. Mine consisted of fire and fire breathing. And then there was this big Komodo dragon. And Levine kept trying to make me pick up the lizard and do everything but have sex with it.
We actually started out with a tiger in the studio. Oh my God, it was really crazy. They bring this huge Bengal tiger, and this tiger was not going to pose with me.
When they brought the tiger into the room, it must have taken 3 or 4 people with chains and whips and the whole 9 yards to get it into the room.
I guess the trainer didn't feed the tiger, and then all of a sudden it became very dangerous.
As soon as I saw that tiger, if there was going to be an accident on the floor, it wasn't going to be the tigers.
And it was really scary, and I didn't want to pose with it. Once they got it out, I just didn't want to die. Barry pretty much came up with the throne idea, and Gene kind of said there should be the great land where I am the ruler, and they came up with Catland. Meow Ship, I call it the Meow Ship. And I kind of like that idea because I don't have my own place like Ace has Jandel. So there I was in my throne, and I felt like I had my own world to rule, and I all of a sudden got into it.
I like that.
That's cool. Because you got the line
no,
there.
Like that. Cool.
Now, who comes, that way your chin can be way out.
That's the best.
Who comes before, and your thing is over here, and you can do the...
Gene is an authority kind of figure. He likes to come in with the authority. I like that about him. I think Gene's the hardest working member of KISS. I hate to say this, but it's true. Gene eats, loves, breathes. His life is KISS.
You don't notice me shaking, do you, Gino?
No.
I'm going for 15th of a second. Here we go, Peter.
But that photo shoot took a long, long time. But I stuck around for the other sessions. Paul's was very sweet. There were a lot of nude girls, which did not suck.
Let's get some naked women. That was a prerequisite for me. I didn't care if it was just have lunch. Let's have some naked women there. I have to admit that with the 4 of us taking individual pictures, there were way more people in the room when I was doing mine. Not because I'm such a good-looking guy, although that may be true too. But it's hard to say no to a room full of naked women. For anybody who's looking for the deep meaning of me wanting to do the pictures, this is real simple. I love naked women. I love touching them. I love smelling them. If I can press my crotch against them, the lottery's been won.
We had to lay out a plan that involved months of arduous rehearsals, but also physical training, because when you get up on that stage and you're wearing all these outfits and you're doing a 2-hour show and you're doing that 5 times a week, it will just knock you for a loop if you're not physically prepared.
What's best for the good of the band is what we'll do. You know, after working hard to relearn my solos, my parts were finally feeling natural to play again.
Thank you.
I didn't expect it to be so hard, but some of the solos that I had written years ago weren't as easy to relearn as I thought they were.
about a night-up. Everybody's gone. Where's Gene?
Hey, Fraley, lead guitar.
2 months had passed, and we were really starting to feel comfortable together. We were never worried that the songs wouldn't come together because we had all the ingredients. It was just a matter of stirring the pot, and it got stirred a lot. Gene is obsessed with work. Whether he actually accomplishes something almost doesn't matter. It's the movement, it's the motion, it's the challenge.
Get some work done instead of you guys.
When he succeeds, it's that much better. But if he doesn't, just the process makes him happy.
The band and manager Doc McGhee began laying the groundwork for the monstrous Kiss production.
When we first started designing it, nobody knew how it was going to go, and the budgets were tight. We didn't have a designer design anything, so we started putting together things kind of half-assed.
How many halls do you think will let us do?
It was all of us just coming up with this is cool, that's cool. Everybody had an input on that show.
This one's really good. This is for making ice cream.
Utilizing the 1977 Love Gun Alive 2 stage as a starting point, 90s technology was incorporated to maximize the impact of the show.
The stage design was trying to recreate a feeling more than duplicating what went before. We wanted to duplicate the feeling of it, but obviously let technology take over.
Video had been used before in concerts, but you always had a choice of looking at the band, which was usually tiny, or looking up in the air at the screen. We wanted the screen to be part of the stage, so that while you were seeing us magnified in a way that brought us that much closer to the fans.
Production manager Tim Rosner began coordinating the logistics of designing and building the production elements, staging, and hiring an extensive crew for the road ahead.
From the beginning, video played a huge part in the plans for the upcoming tour. We knew without a doubt that every single person in the arena or any stadium would not only want to see the band on stage and want to see the big picture, but they'd also want to see a close and personal view of the band, each member in their makeup, with their costumes and the guitars and their effects.
In order to facilitate the full-scale production, rehearsals moved to a large airplane hangar at the Van Nuys Airport in Los Angeles.
It's off right now. Okay, thanks. 1, 2, 8. Too loud for non-solo.
The Van Nuys facility was very important for us to be able to put up the entire lighting system, the stage, all the effects, and the pyrotechnical effects, all in one place at one time for the first time.
It was very exciting. For some reason, when the four of us get together, something magical happens.
When we suited up and put on our war paint and walked out towards rehearsal, I looked at all the guys and thought, no wonder this is my favorite band.
When the inflatables first arrived at rehearsals in Van Nuys, we were all excited to see them. until we discovered what it took to put these up on a daily basis. It was very difficult to inflate them and make all four of them be spaced correctly and stand properly, and having to deal with wind and rain and everything else was quite a challenge. But we knew one thing: when all four of them were up together, it was a showstopper.
I got a camel toe. Lost his unit. I can't figure it out. There's no dick there. I'm like Wonder Woman or something. Not too much. You can find inside. You can't believe your eyes.
After spending months planning the beginning of the tour and spending about a week and a half of not sleeping and continuously working with lights and sound and pyrotechnics, we ended the production rehearsal with a fire in the ceiling at the Van Nuys facility. When the fire trucks arrived, it gave us a little bit of humor, but it reminded us all of one thing: that above and beyond anything else, with all the things and all the dangerous pieces and parts on this tour, safety would have to be our number one concern for the next year and a half.
We're on. Say hello to Cam.
After 20 years of not playing together and knowing that the eyes and the ears of the world would be upon us at the first show, we decided some sort of rehearsal had to happen.
On the eve of the band's first performance in makeup and costume, an extensive sound check has the band and crew running through last-minute adjustments.
Well, no, take where Peter was.
You wear makeup, they paint their nails.
You want a kid? A teenager fully grown? Gosh, you got a lot of me in her. I hate it.
This performance, their first in almost 17 years, will be a warm-up show for the upcoming tour.
You're so warm. You know, we were finishing up rehearsals and we thought maybe we'd come down, give you a little taste of what we got on tour this time.
We had to do a warm-up gig. We knew we had to work the bugs out, and the only way to do that is in front of a live audience.
So we did a promotional concert for a radio station in front of 18,000 of our closest friends.
It was important for us on a different level to get up on stage with a lot of other bands and to show people the difference between Kiss and the bands that came after us. Now, having said that, there were a lot of cool bands on the bill. On the surface of it, you'd think none of these bands have anything to do with Kiss, and yet every band was in the wings as we were on going, wow, it's Kiss.
With the trial and errors of the warm-up gig behind them, band and crew traveled east to Detroit's Cobo Hall to rehearse and make any last-minute adjustments to the show. With opening night just days away, last-minute pressures began to surface.
The rehearsal schedules were pretty hard and long. We flew into Detroit to Cobo Hall. And just like Ace, of course, Ace missed his flight. Then he missed a second flight.
I was flying out on my own. And of course, when I'm on my own, sometimes I'm not as efficient as we are as a group. Anyway, my limousine driver got there late, and I was late packing, and by the time I got to the airport, my flight had taken off.
When something happens that reminds you of the past, you may think you're still living in it. Sometimes you got to cut people an extra bit of slack, and with Ace we had to find out what was happening, where his heart and where his commitment was. It was all in the right place, and we knew we could go forward.
I think it kind of reminded everybody of things that happened in the past. None of us wanted to make the same mistakes again.
And I was nervous because we worked so hard. We trained, my bones ached, everything in my body ached. All of us were hurting big time. And nothing was going to blow this. We didn't want anybody or anything to make this dream not happen. It was too much at stake for all of us. We put too much into it. Gene called me like 6 o'clock in the morning, real early. He goes, we sold out Tiger Stadium in something like 40 minutes. I don't know if I'm right, but it was something in an unbelievable amount of time, 70-something odd thousand people. I acted very cool on the phone. I went, oh, that's cool, Gene. All right, I expect. When I hung the phone up, I freaked out. I started jumping up on the bed in my apartment. I was all alone at this point. I was screaming up and down through the apartment going, holy mackerel, we did it.
After so many years, the moment had finally arrived. A pilgrimage of die-hard Kiss fans flowed into Detroit from every corner of the earth to witness what they had waited so long to see.
Here we were walking from our dressing room to the stage. After all that work, we could hear the roar of the crowd growing. They wanted us. We wanted them.
You could hear the roar. It got bigger, bigger, and it got bigger. And then, holy mackerel, the boys were back in town.
We knew then and there that every step we were taking was bringing us one step closer to fulfilling the dream.
All right, Detroit! You wanted the best! You got the best! The hottest band in the world!
Very few people get a second chance in life. We've been blessed, almost more than anyone I can think of. I remember looking out over the crowd, over Tiger Stadium, that first show, looking out into those faces who were looking up at us as if we were heroes. I remember thinking, we can't let our fans down. We've got to go out there and be every bit as big as they expect us to be.
The crowd was awesome. The electricity was like nothing I've ever felt before. You know, there's nothing like feeling in your heart that what you're doing is going to be huge. And even though we felt it that night, we knew that this was just the first step in a long journey.
once Tiger Stadium took off, we knew that we could go and do the things that we had to do. And it was kind of like, we want the biggest rock show in the world, so we just threw 800 pounds of shit up there. It blew everything up, and it was phenomenal.
Kind of weird being back on the road, living together, touring together. It was an amazing feeling. 20 years later, 4 of us just like we used to. It was kind of cool, actually. And we could look at the people's faces when we came out on stage. It was overwhelming for us because we knew how long they had waited for this to happen.
With the success of the first 18 shows, the tour was off to a bombastic start. With each sold-out show building momentum, the band returned to their homeland for a 4-night stand at New York's Madison Square Garden.
What makes playing Madison Square Garden so special is being a New York band and having grown up in New York. Madison Square Garden was always the pinnacle of what you hoped for. I went there to see other bands play, and it was always my dream to play there. And to this day, it holds a very special spot for all of us.
Best way you've ever made it living. I'll tell you what, if I can still keep the Buxton, you can go out and do the show.
Doc McGhee had an idea, a big idea, and that's what we like about it. He took the point of view that if a promoter's going to be involved with KISS, you should look like KISS. So there was a rule. You don't get a KISS date unless you dress up like KISS.
These guys do 200-300 shows a year, and in order to get them into our show to be the show that they focused on, I felt it was important to get them interested in KISS. So part of my deal was they had to show up in makeup, in costume. And when it first started out, it was like, oh my God, I got to get into makeup. And then after everybody was seen around the world in Performance Magazine and Hits Magazine and Album Network, all of a sudden people are spending $2,000 in makeup and costumes and boots to show up as KISS and having a ball. We made an event, and that's what KISS is.
It was a real surprise to see Bill Aucoin. With him being our original manager, we had a whole lot of memories with him. It seems like another lifetime, and yet it seems like yesterday.
Being back there, I don't know, 20 years, 17 years, was a very holy place to me because my mother wasn't there and my father wasn't there. It was a great time, but very hard on my heart. All the other guys' parents were living, God bless them, and I sent all the moms roses from me that night. My mother loved blue roses, and so I had them every night give me blue roses to hand out to the audience during Beth, and I would sing it to her, and at the end I would say, "That's for you, Mom."
That goes for you, Mom.
One thing about Gene, and he really listens to things that a lot of people don't. I found that out more this time around as I got to know him better. When I said I love Tony Bennett, I love Frank Sinatra, I love Benny Goodman.
Like he's the greatest singer.
I didn't think he had any appreciation for anything more than KISS. When I went into the dressing room, there's the whole Tony Bennett collection.
Tony Bennett.
I was pretty taken by that. He remembered that I liked that music, and he went out of his way and got me.
The good life. That's on there. Wow, this is enough for me. This is like Christmas, fuck. Can we just?
I woke up this morning and I said to myself, "Self, what a great fucking day for rock and roll."
Yeah.
And I mean it from my heart, man. This is a dream come true for all of us, man. To be here after all these years, we should do the sign of the cross, the Vina, all of it,
everything,
the high five and everything, because we're very lucky, very fortunate, and I'm very proud of you guys.
New York fans are very, very demanding. They will tear up their seats and throw them at a band on stage, which they've done in the past, if they don't like what they see and what they hear.
You guys own this place for the next 4 days.
That's right.
Let's burn it down, all right? All right, let's go, baby!
But I tell you, if the word party was ever invented for an event, those shows were like parties. Everybody was on their feet from beginning to end. It was very clear that Big Bad New York all of a sudden decided to have a party. It was a thrill.
New York, we love you! It's good to be back home!
Look over there. Open your mouth a little bit one more. Let's see. Has that out? Ah! Colors in here. Where's the spot?
When the buzz got out that Kiss was finally going to reunite, that the impossible was going to happen, it spread like wildfire. Many of the magazines that wanted us on the cover, we refused. But Spin got it early on. They were ready to do 4 separate covers, something they had never done before. And just like us, they were ready to break ground. And together we did.
The issues came out, and they were by far the biggest sellers they'd ever had.
News was spreading quickly that the Alive worldwide tour was going to be a bigger success than anyone had even imagined.
Kiss is back, the original 4 members in the original makeup.
Oh, God, am I excited. I've been waiting 20-something years for this.
Bueno, salimos un instante de este enorme recinto.
Break out your face paint, get ready to rock.
Hundreds of fans will kiss and tell after their date tonight.
With the enormous reaction to the first month of the tour, the Kiss buzz soared to new heights.
Forbes magazine came to us and wanted to put us on the cover. We thought that was a strange request, but why not? If we can help them look cool, so much the better.
One of the great things about Kiss is that we don't live or die by the press. And it's much more important to us to go out on stage and be received by an audience that's ecstatic and meets us with open arms and legs. It's really something to look out there and see people who have waited for this day, sometimes 20 years, and what they think and their reaction is of the utmost importance. And what we see in the newspaper perhaps a day later is really of minor importance. Most of the time I just look and hope there's a great photo, because the photo is worth 1,000 words.
At the end of the day, though, after all the hoopla and after all the covers of the magazines and so on, the most important thing for us is gauging our fans. When a fan walks up to you and says, you know, I don't like the second song as much as the fourth, I listen. When a critic has something to say, it means nothing. This guy's being paid for his job, and his opinion just really comes from nowhere. He's not a fan. He doesn't have any emotional vested interest in it. But when a fan talks, the heart speaks, we listen. The Kiss Army started in Terre Haute, Indiana, the heartland of America, by a guy named Bill Starkey. It started around a radio station that wouldn't play our records, and Starkey, who called and basically threatened the guy and said, if you don't play Kiss records, the Kiss Army will surround you. Somehow it got back to us either through newspapers or letters about an existing Kiss Army, and we thought the idea was so cool, why not name the fans the Kiss Army? So the fan club was named that, and so on. It started very naturally and kept growing.
They treat their fans with respect. They give the fans what they pay for, their money's worth.
They give everything to their fans that they have. They've been doing it for years.
Part of the magic of Kiss is that the appeal is so widespread. There's something about Kiss that affects everybody.
Well, they're all very talented, but I love Paul's ass in particular.
We have fans who were there from the beginning, some of who now have their own children. And it's almost like a rite of passage to have the children show up and be a part of the concert that may have turned their parents' lives around. It's awesome to look out into an audience and see families, mothers, fathers, children, all part of this unique celebration that's Kiss.
In the most sincere form of gratitude, all kinds of things get thrown up on stage. Sometimes bras, that's obvious. There have been babies held up. But the one that takes the cake is someone's leg. Up to that point, we thought we'd seen it all. But that one topped them all. If this is an army, this is clearly a volunteer army. Anybody who does something for KISS or about KISS is really doing it from their hearts, and that's the most important thing.
KISS is the biggest band of the 70s, 80s, and now 90s, and they're going to prove to the world that they're still the best. They changed rock and roll forever.
My only words are space with Ace.
We do this for our fans, you know. It's the gratification that we get. You see the faces of the kids. I'm out there playing for them because the kids made me popular, and without my fans, I wouldn't be where I am today. And I really worked hard not only to play the old guitar solos as accurately as possible, but to capture the same vibe. I was impressed by hearing lead guitarist perform the solo just like it sounded on the record. To me, that was a groove. The effects I do on stage, like the smoking guitar, were things that came out of my head and, you know, became my trademark over the years. I just went into a fireworks store one day and put a smoke bomb inside the Les Paul. I could see people going, oh my God, his guitar's on fire, it's going to explode. It's always been a trip for me to do that. It's one of the most fun parts of the show for me and the audience. I've always been intrigued by guitars. Guitars are really my life. I never thought of myself as a virtuoso. It just blows me away how many new guitarists say Ace Frehley was a major influence on me. If I knew I was going to influence so many guitar players, I would have practiced a little more.
By mid-August, and North America exploding with Kissteria, band and crew flew to England to headline the massive Castle Donington Festival.
We stayed at a hotel called the Combe Abbey, which was an old 14th century English castle that was turned into a hotel. So here we were in the middle of nowhere, KISS in a castle. It was bizarre to say the least.
We knew we had to slay everybody and knock them on their ass. So the day before the event, we did a sound check in a field out in the middle of the countryside. We knew that that field the following day would be filled with 60,000 rabid KISS fans.
After soundcheck, Paul kept us all entertained on the bus ride back to the hotel.
Right, all right then. On with the talent show. But first, I'm going to take a break to brush my tooth.
Paul Stanley is absolutely the ringmaster, on stage and off. If there's a stage, he will get on it. If there isn't, he will make one. The consummate ringmaster.
It's fucking amazing. It's fucking lovely, isn't it? It's fucking magic.
And some of us would try to catch catnaps, even though it wasn't always Peter.
The funny thing was, when the helicopter picked us up at the hotel, 100 fans or so saw us off.
10 minutes later, we were greeted by 60,000 fanatical KISS fans.
This was the one and only show we were doing in England. This was an amazing outdoor show where 60,000 people got out there in the rain and the mud and stopped at nothing. It was pretty amazing. We knew we had to knock everybody out.
And knock them out they did. The one-off English festival proved to be a huge success, which left the band an open invitation to come back and crush Europe later in the year.
Los Angeles Forum shows were important to us as well. Alive 2 was recorded on that stage. There are a lot of shows that come through Los Angeles, and they've also become very used to events passing through and through. One band comes, they leave, and the next band comes in. They were expecting to be blown out of their seats because every band that had come through was basically just going, here's our next song and here's our next song. I think people got sick and tired of it. So we loaded up on the fireworks, big time. We put the fireworks over their heads. And so when the stuff started popping, you could tell people's hearts were starting to pound.
Anytime you can do multiple nights in a city, it's a testament to your success and to the adulation that you're afforded by your fans. It's great when you do one night in an 18,000-seat arena. It's phenomenal when you do two. But when you sell out 3 and could have done more, except the hall isn't available, that's pretty awesome.
On one of the nights that happened to me by birthday, everybody broke into song, and you know, what can you say? I'm sure anybody would be affected by it. You get teary-eyed for a second. So I had to turn away. You know, the big bad wolf can't show that he's got a heart, so you turn away for a second.
Wow, who did all this? And here, this goes outside your costume.
Thank you. Finally, I got one like this.
It's big enough. Finally big enough.
Kind of small.
I like it. That's very... We need a picture of you. I want a picture of that. Actually, video we should do that.
I didn't realize there was a face on it.
A happy face.
Along with the electricity surrounding 3 consecutive sold-out nights at LA's Forum, Kiss fan Jay Leno came to the show to film several crazy skits for The Tonight Show.
Jay Leno was an early supporter of the reunion of the band and somebody who was clearly a fan. He did a lot of really cool things for us, including being the interviewer on the You Wanted the Best album.
So when we came into Los Angeles, he wanted to know whether or not we could appear on the show and do some skits. And we said we physically couldn't get there. You know, our time was short, but why doesn't he come down to the Forum? And he can do whatever he wants.
Hey, what is this?
Yeah.
Nelson. What is this? Full Nelson. This is a Father Nelson. What's this between a clitoris and a golf ball? What? Guy, look for a golf ball.
So he came down fully prepared. In fact, he dressed up for the event. He looked like a clown in one of the skits. Big red shoes, seltzer bottle, red nose. A powerful and attractive man.
Guys, who says the clown goes?
Clown goes.
Sorry, Jay.
Sorry, Jay. Fine. 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 Fine.
So in a way, doing the skits was a way of paying him back, but also at the same time, let's face it, anytime you can get into millions of people's homes at 11:30 at night, you either have a key to their front door or you're on television.
Guys, I'm sorry to bother you. A little problem with it. Good, good. No problem with the woman in our audience tonight. Did you guys start your tour in Detroit?
Yeah.
Tiger Stadium. Yeah. You remember a girl named Julie?
Yeah.
No.
You know.
No?
Oh, that. Oh.
No? Huh? Does this look familiar?
Yeah.
That I know.
There we go again.
I'm looking at a check.
Wow.
There wasn't much to do. One thing I know is
Yeah, she's looking at the shoes, all right. Yeah, look at those.
Yeah, that's what you do.
Yeah, those shoes. Oh, it's the shoes, yeah.
I am, but he's not that tall.
Don't move, I'm coming.
Autograph picture. Bet you don't have one. So I brought these from back then so I can try to get them to sign them all. So I'm just kind of waiting around here with all the other kids.
I put on Gene Simmons boots. Yeah, the ones. The ones. Rockin' in the USA. Rockin' and rollin', rockin' and rollin', rockin' in the USA.
Kiss took time off from one of the summer's hottest tours on Wednesday night to top off the Video Music Awards show with a pyromaniac extravaganza in the shadow of the Brooklyn Bridge that was probably visible to those orbiting Russian cosmonauts we mentioned earlier.
As members of the KISS Army enthusiastically lined up to see the band perform for the Video Music Awards, no one seemed to mind not being at Radio City Music Hall. They were there, after all, to see KISS. In their minds, the band that makes all others pale in comparison.
No single city is more important than another. Every single city is do or die. You get up on that stage, and whether you're in Oshkosh or Los Angeles or New York, you've got to give it your all. Everybody knows when you come to see KISS, you're going to see the greatest show on earth.
Put it this way, if we brought this much pyrotechnics into any show, it would be the last show at that arena. We're bringing enough stuff here to light up the sky.
All right, what do you say we seal this show with a great, big, sloppy, tongue-in-the-throat fireworks exploding, blood-spurting lip lock live from under the Brooklyn Bridge. You wanted the best, you got the best. It's KISS!
Rock and roll on that! Party every day! Yeah, yeah! You show us everything you got. You keep us dancing and the good gets hot. You drive us wild, you'll drive you crazy. And you say you wanna go to the bed. The money's up and something that you wear. You drive us wild, we'll drive you crazy.
The MTV Music Awards show was going to be something really special. Originally, we were going to play at the Statue of Liberty with the fireboats going around and all kinds of special effects and everything. Last minute, the city of New York backed off and we couldn't do it, so we did it under the Brooklyn Bridge.
We knew the world would be watching, so we loaded up extra pyro, bombs, anything we could get our hands on to light up the New York skyline, and it just looked fantastic. While we were doing the show, cops set up barricades because people were flowing in from all over the place, every direction. It was like gridlock.
I'm looking at the fireworks going on, and I'm going, wow, it sure looks cool. This is exciting. No band does stuff like this, much less me being a kid from Brooklyn, that I never thought I'd ever be playing in front of it.
Again, New York was home. That's where we came from. And the idea that you can get under the Brooklyn Bridge was a real thrill. It was like from walking across the bridge to blowing up the air around it. It was the ultimate.
you. We'll see you all soon.
There's something about America that makes me shout with joy. It's a land of...
Everything was going well until Friday, September 13th. A group of fanatic Christian ministers and concerned citizens unsuccessfully attempted to stop Kiss from appearing in concert there.
We were going to play Tupelo, Mississippi, the birthplace of Elvis Presley, and some religious knuckleheads decided that they were the ones to pass judgment, even though in a very good book it says, "Do not pass judgment lest ye be judged."
Tupelo has a very good reputation of a Christian community.
What type of activities is being brought into Tupelo?
We want this to reflect what we believe.
A spokesman for the ministers said that Kiss's dangerous agenda had satanic ties, and they were concerned for the welfare of the town's young girls.
It's no coincidence that most of the preachers who were telling everybody about devil worshippers and how evil other people were ultimately got arrested for being in cheap hotels with hookers or all kinds of other things that may be part of rock and roll, but aren't supposed to be part of religion.
It's such a bizarre notion that a rock band would be anything they would ever care about, but I guess they see us as evil personas. I wonder if they treated Elvis the same way. The bass solo really started off as a bizarre notion. The notion was musicians often step up on that stage and start playing a lot of notes so that you'll think, wow, they're playing a lot of notes. And I go, so what? Because usually they're looking down at the fretboard and doing nothing. It's as exciting as watching a typist type. You sort of go, look how fast the key's going. I basically took the point of view that the bass has always been an extension of who I am and what I am and how I feel on stage. And I don't feel like playing a lot of notes or melodies. When I first started thinking about the bass solo, it was more an expression of how I felt. Your adrenaline is coursing through your veins and your heart is pounding. So the sounds that come out of the bass would be the sound I hear in my head of the feelings pent up inside of me. The bass solo was designed to be noisy and Gene Simmons. I haven't heard one like it since or after.
By the beginning of November 1996, Kiss had thoroughly destroyed North America. Their next target, Europe and the rest of the world.
This is our first show in the UK, right here in Birmingham. We're proud to be here tonight.
A press conference was held pre-show in Stockholm to announce the band's return to Scandinavia and Europe the following summer.
Show here for the summer is the fastest sellout in history of Sweden.
One of the best!
We're very, very proud to announce that we'll be adding a second show. It'll be a chance for the people who haven't gotten tickets to see us and to believe that we're really back.
In Frankfurt, Germany, the band reached a milestone.
You like these lips?
There was a backstage celebration to mark the 100th show of the tour.
Here's Kiss 100 show. 100 times on stage. Oh, you can't eat it yet.
You get a little closer so we get the...
You ain't sticking your dick in that cake. At some point, we started to do a rally every night. We all came together, and it was like a football team. We got together, we did a huddle, we talked about focus, we talked about whatever it was, something to motivate them, to get them together, because when you say you wanted the best, you got the best, they better be the best.
Guys, it's a show 100. Woo! There's 15,000 Frankfurters out there. Yeah. And I want you to go out there and get some bucket. Ready to go.
It started out where they were laughing when I would do this, and then towards the end, they wouldn't do it without it. It was too much of a ritual.
Let me see your hands.
We would be based out of one central city and fly back and forth between the various smaller cities around there.
For us to keep up that kind of pace, we wanted to make sure that we were always rested and that nobody suffered for the amount of shows that we were doing.
I should have shaved again, I guess.
Doc's always been a team player, and to celebrate our 100th show, he got dressed in Kiss makeup.
Better have a cocktail or something while we're doing this stuff. That's great. Wait till these guys see this one. They're gonna shit when they see this.
We knew that promoters were supposed to be getting dressed in Kiss makeup, but when this guy rounded a corner and started talking to us, it wasn't clear at first it was Doc.
Who is this man? Who is this man?
We thought it was another promoter.
Yeah, I know. This came out great. Spirit did a great job.
A cute little guy smiling at us, saying things like,
"You're killing me, guys, you're killing me."
And all of a sudden that voice sounded like Doc.
How you doing, bud? You're killing me.
That's your cover to whatever. That's it. Forbes. The next Forbes. Yeah. The next Forbes magazine here.
We are here, and are we ever ready to go? You know, the great thing about New Year's Rockin' Eve is it's all kinds of music. And tonight at the Meadowlands, at the Continental Airlines Arena over there, Kiss is appearing. They are breaking all the records in the world with their current concert tour. Gentlemen, you on stage yet?
What was really great about the end of 1996 is that we performed at the Meadowlands, and we went live on television with Dick Clark, and we were talking to him on our video screen behind us.
How's the concert going?
Say hi to everybody!
Hello there! Happy New Year!
Hey, Dick, how you doing?
It was really a special thing because, ironically, Dick Clark was the guy who put us on TV first.
There they are. Kiss is back in control. Thank you, gentlemen. We'll catch you a little bit later on.
We did a concert in the 70s, and it was our first television appearance. And I'll never forget meeting Dick Clark, because in those days, to meet Dick Clark, to me, was like Ed Sullivan. He was just a god, and to this day, he still is.
And right now, Kiss is reunited. I mentioned that the #1 concert act, Peter Criss, Ace Frehley, Gene Simmons, Paul Stanley, sold-out crowds all over. And in addition, watch the reaction of this Omni audience. They love them. This is Kiss on New Year's Eve.
As Kiss finished their set, the band reflected on what was their biggest year ever. From finally reuniting, to the planning and preparation of the tour, to the acclaim of Kiss fans worldwide, 1996 would be a year no one would ever forget.
Happy New Year, Paul. Happy New Year, Gene, Peter, and Ace. We'll see you soon. No wonder they are the #1 concert attraction. That's Kiss. Great show.
Not since 1978 had Paul, Gene, Ace, and Peter toured the land of the rising sun.
MTV News. Out of this.
A press conference with the entire Japanese media was the first order of business.
Konnichiwa, konnichiwa, Nippon. Watashi wa Paul Stanley desu.
It's great to be here in Japan with my old buddies, Gene, Peter, and Paul. Rock on.
I'm having the greatest time in my life right now. I haven't been here since the last tour, I guess since '77. I'm just happy to be with the guys again. So it's vigorous, but it's all worth it.
We are now here. We have rehearsed. We have spent 7 months on the road, and we are ready to give you the show you will never forget.
Konnichiwa, watashi wa Jin Shimas desu. And I'm very proud to be here, but we will let the show do the talking.
All right, 1997, not 1996. We had a great 96. We're gonna have a better fucking 97. Now I want you to get out there and kick some fucking ass. Ready to go? Yeah!
Japan has always been amazing for us in its incredible dedication and devotion to the band.
Hiroshima! Shock me!
From the first time we went there, when nothing really could rival us except the Beatles in the 60s, the connection between us and our friends in Japan was like super glue.
Remember the
Our Japanese fans are so devoted. They make us miniature dolls and are constantly giving us gifts. I can't say enough good things about them.
When we're over there, even when there's a language problem, it's so clear that we're all thinking the same thing and that words mean nothing when music means everything.
The Japanese are very respectful people. They bow, they always say thank you and you're welcome. When we first played Tokyo Dome, it was something new that happened.
Tokyo! Clap your hands!
The reserved Japanese had basically decided, to hell with that, we're going to have a good time. So you found 60,000 people standing on their chairs, pumping their fists up in the air. It was amazing, like nothing we'd ever seen, especially in Japan.
Kiss toured by train in Japan, which left extra time for interviews, sleep, or any other business.
Konbanwa Nippon, oshiete ageru. Konbanwa Nippon, oshiete ageru.
Ohayou gozaimasu. You're watching Mesomashi TV. So desu.
Put up time. Put up time. All right, it's 1:14. We're in Nagoya, 1997. I want you to get out there and I want you to kick some fucking ass. You ready to go? Yeah!
One of the crazy things that happened to us in Japan was Gene lost his voice, and one of the greatest things about Kiss is the fact that we all have the ability to cover for each other.
Gene kept losing his voice, and towards the end it became necessary for me to sing all his songs. That was real tough, especially since I tried to give it as much of his personality as possible.
I got a big announcement to make. It's Paul's birthday. Bring out that cake.
Having my birthday in Japan was real special. When you hear people in America singing happy birthday to you, it's second nature. You grow up singing that. When people sing it to you in Japan, or any other country for that matter, where English isn't the first language, it really is a tribute, because if you can imagine learning a song in another language, that's what they did. And for them to do that for me is the ultimate compliment.
Why?
Kiss spent their last 2 days in Japan making a rare appearance in a TV commercial for Nikkei Entertainment.
Part of the commercial was being on stage and fire breathing. I had lost my voice completely. It was in such bad shape that I was concerned breathing fire would just completely ruin it. So when we did a commercial, Spiro, a member of a good Kiss tribute band, stood in for me and did a very, very credible job.
Spiro, try to look ugly, all right?
Spiro's shaking.
There he was, Spiro Simmons, breathing fire. And the other part of the commercial was sitting in a pie shop. The pie shop looked very American. It had seats and pies in the window, and everybody was dressed like what you'd expect a pie store to have, except all the chairs and all the tables were very small, almost like Gulliver's Travels, like the little Lilliputians. We physically and literally couldn't stick our feet under the tables. Everything was so small.
It was really bizarre because there were people in this restaurant, and I don't think half the people even knew what the hell was going on. They saw 4 crazy guys with makeup on. And some of the people in the restaurant were fans. Some of the people had just walked in there because I don't think they closed the restaurant to the public. It was real strange.
Of course, as foreigners, we had to make sure that the locals knew that the pies were good, so we ate all of it.
Hey, Ace, what are you listening to?
Japanese hit songs. They sound so cool.
But every song sounds the same. Why? Why?
Why?
From Japan, the band jetted to Australia for a bizarre press conference in Sydney, topped off with a Gold Record Awards presentation for the album You Wanted the Best, You Got the Best.
When we came out to do the press conference in Sydney, Australia, we walked out and saw these 4 thrones that looked like somebody's wild imagination come to life, which is exactly what it was. Each one of us had his own custom designed, custom built throne.
So,
These chairs are ridiculous.
Hi, my name's Grant. I'm a die-hard fan. Is it okay if I bring this out and present this cake to you guys? My inspiration's Kiss. Who are your inspirations?
Well, you're upstaging me, so get out of my way. All right, that'll work.
Unfortunately, sometimes you walk into a situation that you have no control of, and once you're in, it's too late to leave.
Every artist would like to think that dignity plays a part in sort of the sunset, you know, when you get off the stage with dignity. Fuck that, I'm having the time of my life. You're gonna have to drag me kicking and screaming off that stage. Fuck dignity.
The more time we spend in Australia, the more time we want to spend with our faces down under.
We like to party, we like to enjoy ourselves, and we like to get laid. Anybody have a problem with that?
Everything about this Kiss concert is huge, especially the statistics. Now, there'll be 11,000 people here tonight, but worldwide, in 210 cities, 10.2 million people will see the band.
Will you sing with me, Sydney?
Momentum was building as Kiss landed in Mexico City for 3 packed nights at the Palacio de los Deportes, followed by huge stadium shows in Santiago, Chile, and Buenos Aires, Argentina.
Yo soy un hombre sincero. No?
Guantanamera, Guajira, Guantanamera, Guajira, Guantanamera.
It was back to America for round 2. This second go-round was dubbed the Lost Cities Tour.
Towards the end of the KISS reunion tour, we decided to go back to the States and play a lot of cities that we may have missed on the first time.
We basically took the point of view that we should go to places like Mankato and Fargo and other cities that perhaps don't have the population that cities like Detroit and New York have. There's an idea that if you're a fan, you shouldn't have to drive 5 hours to see your favorite band.
You have made us the #1 band in the state. We salute you!
When it comes in, the momentum that's bringing it forward, you got to get down, so I land here.
Wanting to give the show a new lift, Paul devised a flying stunt that topped all others.
For years, I had been trying to find something special and unique that would bring me closer to the audience.
Let's go back out. Be higher.
I've always believed that it's a boundary that should be broken down. The barrier that exists between the audience and the stage is one that shouldn't be there. We really all are one. Without the audience, I couldn't be doing what I'm doing. So the idea of flying out and being able to get into the center of it, and in essence return to where I came from, was the coolest thing I could think of. I used to be in the audience. I was the fan. I saw the band on stage. Now I'm on stage. I want to come back and say hi to everybody.
The dressing room is a real sacred place. We got our Superman curtain up that we've had all our lives. We don't allow anybody in No one knows what the Superman curtain is.
When we get ready prior to the show, there's pros and cons. Number one, we never get a chance to see the opening act because we have to start putting makeup on 2 hours before we perform on stage. But when I really think about it, you could compare it to, like, women in a beauty salon sitting under a hairdryer, the way they gab. It's the same kind of thing.
We listen to the same music. We'll talk about things that have been going on. We'll talk about the last show. It's a time for us to really bond before we go out on stage.
If Elvis Costello gets together with ABBA? ABBA and Costello? Cool. ABBA and Costello.
One night it's oldies but goodies night. Then one night it's R&B. Then it's jazz. Then we all have our opinions of who's doing what. I wish someone would put a hidden camera and our fans could see what really goes on in that dressing room. They would love it. They wish they were there.
I'm testing on mine because my friend, he won't let me.
Yes, he will. Just take a bite. You don't even have to chew. What'd you do to it? Look at it. He's got that look. It's so obvious. I worked hard on that fucking French fry. Where is it? You think this was easy? Oh!
The pacing of the tour was hard. The Second Cities tour was the toughest for me. I developed carpal problems with my arms. That was tough for me.
All of a sudden, I would look at our itinerary, and all the days that were off just started disappearing because we would sell out shows and they started adding second shows. So basically, we were doing 5 to 6 shows a week.
I know sometimes we bit off more than we could chew, but the tour went on and we got through it.
Fucking bad.
I remember Peter standing up one day during rehearsals and basically saying, drum solos are passé, who cares?
The old days drum solo was just, what I felt. Whatever mood I was in that night, that's how I played. We had to make this like no other drum solo. And we wanted to bring the audience into it and have them participate so they would be part of the show.
I never saw you do this. Back. I never did that! Cool. Came up with something new today. It was great. It's great. It was so natural for you to go boom.
The drummer's trying to show off and show you how well he plays. It's boring time. Nobody wants to see a show off. On the other hand, tribal drums are exciting. They make everybody wild. And so that was the basic vibe.
Peter was working particularly hard, probably hardest of all, and it really showed in the end.
Freeze. You got it. Now it's easy. Yeah, don't move. And it's great.
This was really broken down. I've never done that my whole life. I was scared to do it. Gene kept saying, trust me, when you do it, they will respond. I went, what if they don't?
Tommy's my left side cricket.
And then the first night I did it, they did. And it was like, wow.
Look at the day.
Wherever I pointed, they responded. And it got to be a thing.
Everybody do one.
No, we don't do it together.
Together?
Yeah.
Everybody wear Kiss. 1,
Yeah, they know we're Kiss. 3.
Hey, Edmonton! Are you ready to rock and roll all night?
As the Lost Cities leg pushed forward, a record was broken at the St. Paul Civic Center for 3 consecutive sold-out nights. Pre-show, the Honorable Mayor Coleman presented the band with the key to the city.
This is the only time I have presented the key to the city to a rock band, but I am very honored. And by the way, if you have any parking tickets today, you let me know and I'll take care of it. Get me out of a speeding ticket. There you go. You let me know. We'll work you all out.
In Fargo, the band donated all proceeds from a special flood relief Kiss t-shirt to the city in the wake of the disastrous floods that had recently ravished the area.
We got a
t-shirt tonight. We want you to buy this shirt so that we can put the money back into your community. Shirt looks like this, and the shirt looks like this. And all the money that comes in from that shirt goes right back to you people. All right. Hey, it's Ace's birthday. Happy birthday to you.
Yeah, it was real gratifying, to play for secondary markets because the kids were just great. In some cases, they were more excited than an audience in a major market, but we decided we wanted to bring the show to them.
You guys are great. Love you, man.
All cities deserve rock and roll. If you can't make it to us, we're going to try to make it to you.
Tonight is the last show in the North American tour. You people are going to be the ones we remember. Let me hear you.
From huge outdoor stadiums in Germany to the Eastern European cities of Prague, Belgrade, and Budapest, KISS returned to Europe for a final 2-month siege of jam-packed shows.
Stadium shows are always wild because you're in an uncovered area and you're always subject to the whims of weather. When we played a couple of stadiums in Europe, specifically in Nuremberg and 1 or 2 other places, it started raining cats and dogs.
No matter how wet we get, we're going to have to call out the firehouse!
Now, the Europeans seem to be comfortable with this. They must have had this all their lives. Nobody moved. It was like it was a bright, sunshiny day. If that stuff was happening in California, people would run for cover. But it was raining cats and dogs, and everybody was just having the time of their lives. And we continued playing. We played right through the rain.
Do you ski? Yes. Yes? In America? Yes. Sure. Gene, what do you say about the mountains out there?
Fantastic. It's wonderful the mountains were there, because then Hitler couldn't go to Switzerland.
On an off day in Berlin, the band visited a recording studio to record their voices for a new Nickelodeon animated short, Action League Now, starring the KISS action figures.
Baby man!
I don't remember this being part of the show, but I like it. Help! Oh no! It's teasing! My makeup!
Is this the final stop on the KISS tour? Will the loudest band in the land be silenced forever?
Not if I can help it.
Look! It's working! Ah, kids, you gotta love them. Hello, Garage Dome! Are you ready to rock again? This one goes down to our old buddy Milkman!
With the end of the tour near, KISS returned to London by invitation for a press conference at London's Rock Circus Museum, where the band's handprints were cast in plaster to commemorate their historic career of almost 3 decades. Later, the group posed with the KISS Museum mannequins also on display at the Rock Circus. And then at the gates of Buckingham Palace. The long day of press ended with a late-night appearance on London's Jack Doherty show.
You've doing something really on your tour. Most tour bump has, you know, oh, it's got 30,000 trucks and 40,000 amps and stuff, but you said that you've got 6,000 condoms on the road with you. Is this, is this the case?
Well, this is very important. We've got to make sure that goodwill exists between our two countries. And it's our distinct pleasure to do the shows on stage, and then, of course, do the encores back in the hotel.
Put your head in my pocket, grab onto my rocket.
You've got 4 of your songs are going to be recorded and used as Muzak in American supermarkets. I can't believe that.
And why shouldn't they?
Really, I mean, you figure that Muzak and that kind of music is played in dentist's office, and you figure that, you know, people have been drilled once or twice listening to Kiss. So.
All-American.
What am I looking at here?
Sverige, men idag, imorgon, ja hela veckan så är det Kiss-vecka i ZTV-nytt.
Aktuellt fick en exklusiv pratstund med Kiss strax före uppträdandet igår kväll.
Kiss skulle ta ställning för någonting annat än rock and roll.
Politics are for people who know what they're talking about. Many times when rock and roll bands become famous, they suddenly think they become very intelligent and they make fools of themselves and talk about things they don't know about. But the people out there know what they should be doing. They don't need us. We're idiots.
Describe your audience.
The audience in Sweden, the best-looking people on the face of the planet. And we're going to make sure we single-handedly increase the population of your country. Thank you very much!
Kiss's record-breaking two-night stand at Stockholm's Olympic Stadium was the largest single event there since the 1912 Olympics.
Efter en av de 2 utsålda konserter som Kiss hade här i Stockholm.
Du har till och med hår på bröstet nu.
Ja, det var jättejobbigt att göra det. Jag kittlades.
Hår på bröstet?
Ja.
Börjar det kännas nu? Börjar ni känna er nervösa nu inför ni ska träffa dem?
Ja.
Och då har du fjärilar i magen eller?
Mm.
Berätta, hur känns det?
Fint.
Hej på er grabbar. Ska vi berätta vad ni heter kanske?
Mattias.
Det är du som är Gene Simmons.
Ja.
Du?
Johan.
Ska bli?
Paul Stanley.
Och du då?
David.
Och vem kommer du bli då?
Peter Quiz.
Och du ska bli?
Ace Frehley.
Hi. Are we taking a picture? Sure. Can you turn around? Who's taking a picture? Turn all around. Face this way, you guys. Come on, right here. Here you go. Get right back.
Come on, Ace, over here. Everybody get their guy. Get their guy. Hey.
This is great. Yeah. That's a good picture.
That's great. Make sure we get copies. Look at this little guy. I need a photo. Hold on. I need a photo. Okay. Get photo. That's great. I'm trying to get these things on.
Oh,
That's right. That's right.
Hello.
Hello.
You got it going the wrong way. He probably undid them on me.
I didn't undo them.
Here we are decorating our manager.
Where's your belts, Doc?
They're wrong.
Let's get some real
They
bullets.
won't fit around the right way.
Yeah, they won't fit around.
It's his trading bra.
It's my training bra.
Dash?
Yeah, Dash. Okay, but that's all right. Bring them in.
You got any? That's the penny.
You can't.
Let's go, let's go, let's go! Ooh, a little chilly tonight.
The last fucking show here in Stockholm. We kicked their ass last night. Tonight we're going to do even better. Pay attention, interact tonight, have fun. Have some fun, but kick some ass. So let's do it. Yeah!
Okay, call good listen. Good listen, all right?
It's these kind of nights that let us know why we got back together. You people have been awesome.
We love you, Stockholm, rock and roll. 1, 2, 3, 4.
After Scandinavia, the band flew south to the bullrings and stadiums of Madrid, Zaragoza, and Barcelona.
We got 5 shows, guys.
That's Italian. That's good luck.
We got 5 shows. We got a loaf of bread with us.
Baby's getting anxious. The hour's getting late. The night is almost over. She can't wait.
When we ended the tour in London at Finsbury Park on July 5th, truth is we could have played anywhere and had the same feeling amongst the band. It really was a time for us to congratulate ourselves for having put in a lot of work to make sure that everybody had been satisfied on this tour.
Tonight is the last night of our world tour. We have played to almost 3 million people, but we would not go home without coming to see you people here tonight.
For me, the end of a tour is always very sad. I always want to stay on tour forever. Some of the rest of the guys think I'm out of my mind. That may be so, but I still want to stay out on tour.
Some people, when a tour is over, they kind of go into a depression because they just feel like, you know, they've been riding this wave and all of a sudden it's over. I walked away feeling very fulfilled. It was a good feeling.
I felt relieved the fact that, wow, we did great, but now I miss it. Now I want to go back again.
It had been a long road. It had been 200 shows, 2 million people in 1 year. We had a lot to pat ourselves on the back about, and yet at the same time, while we were saying good work, we were also saying, what's next?
For KISS is exactly what it's always been. It's the idea that you can believe in your dreams, believe in yourself, and do exactly what you want to do in life. That's the essence of rock and roll, and that's what KISS is all about.